This podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. Our friends over at SeatGeek are giving us a promo code of TBA Wrestling. That is TBA Wrestling for $20 off your first purchase. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Gunners Are Us podcast, where we are positively Arsenal, and that we are. It's just me. It's the day before Christmas Eve. And before, I think Joe's actually with me tomorrow. We'd usually record this Wednesday. No one's going to want to hear this on Christmas Day, I don't think. If you do, just listen to this on Christmas Day. I think that's the best way to do it, because we're going to do massive Premier League predictions today. We've got 19 games to get through. The only game that it's avoiding is Arsenal-Brentford, which is on the Wednesday, which is New Year's Day, which I'm fairly sure I'll get an episode up either on that day or the day before, where we'll cover that in the week coming, shortly after New Year. But this is kind of like the last, so this would be the last episode of the year, because the next one's New Year's Day. So we'll kind of do a little roundup of the year as well, 2024, the start of the season, potential transfers, injury news to Saka, Premier League predictions, and we'll talk about the two last games, which was Gabriel Jesus's two big games, really, because we had Palace twice. He scored the hat-trick at home, second half hat-trick, and he scored two in the first half. Was it two in the first? It was two in the first half, yeah. Yeah, it's two in the first half at Selhurst Park this week in the league, where we won 5-1. So we'll get to that. I want to talk a little bit about Ange Ball, because I have a strong opinion on how poor a manager this guy is. But if you're just joining us, obviously we're here on iTunes and Spotify. Make sure you check us out every single Wednesday at Gunners Are Us Pod. On TikTok, we do a live every single Wednesday, 10 a.m. GMT. I think I just said that and I'm really scrambled. But we're not this week, because obviously that'll be Christmas Day. No one's going to be on TikTok live. If you are, just jump off and just hang out, you know. If you need, obviously, people to talk to, do it. But we won't be on. And New Year's Day, we might be back. So we might have a week off here. I was going to do it live now. But because there's only me, I wanted to double record this episode to make sure that I didn't mess something up and the mic's unattached and I didn't realise, and there's me talking to myself for 45 minutes and it never makes anywhere. So I'm double recording it on my phone, so I'm not going to do a TikTok live. I'm not sure anyone would know to look for it on a, 3:21 on a Monday. And this episode will be up tonight, so you'll be listening to this either on Monday or on your way to work on Christmas Eve. Obviously, hopefully be a good accompaniment to your Christmas Eve travels or whatever you're doing. But we've got loads to get into today. I've done all that housework that we need to kind of do. Joe will be with me, for Christmas, but the chaos of having, I think we can have like 4 dogs, a cat. My dog does not like a cat. Mother-in-law, mum and dad, me, Joe, his fiance, my wife. So there's a lot going on in one house. I think it's all of Christmas, the second half of Christmas Eve and half of Christmas Day. And around the time we eat, he's heading to his in-laws to have dinner. So I don't think we'll be able to fit in a podcast. I think we actually have to fit in the Peppercorn Boys, which will be after classic Christmas Eve Chinese tomorrow night. So I'm hoping we'll kind of nick one in there late. Probably. I don't know. But we'll figure it out. Hey, that's not you to worry about, but please listen to Peppercorn Boys. I know we aren't doing a Simon Miller podcast this week because of holidays and he's away with his family and stuff like that. So this is the only Christmas episode you're getting out of this little area. Peppercorn will be out kind of between Christmas and New Year's, but it'll be recorded on Christmas Eve. So we'll get started. I think we kind of got to start with the two games that we played because coming off the 2 draws in the league, I think people were very nervous because it was definitely a point in which we could have made up some ground on Liverpool. And at the end of this weekend, we are 6 points behind and they have a game in hand. So we're back to that kind of essentially 9 points. Whereas they gave us a couple of opportunities. We didn't take either. But if you want to look at the positive is they didn't take the opportunity to go ahead of us further, because if they'd won those 2 and when we drew, I mean, that's another 4-point swing. So they'd be 13 points clear. I would say that's pretty much curtains for us. And I really feel strongly that we've put over Chelsea on this podcast a lot, saying that they're potential FC, and when you have that many good players, you're eventually going to come good. And I think that there's truth to that. But On the other hand, I don't think they could sustain the title charge. Watching how well Liverpool played against Spurs, and we'll talk about how bad Spurs were, but Liverpool were very good. I don't see them dropping massive amounts of points. Do I think if Arsenal had a purple patch post Christmas, like we did this calendar year, could we push them to the title or potentially win the title? Yeah, but we need a lot of things to go our way. One of those things would be we need to win 10 in a row, which we had the ability to do in the next 10, starting 3 games ago, and we ended up drawing the first 2, which were definitely winnable. So instantly that puts you behind the 8 ball. I think there's a lot of pressure on us to do that. When you think of the injuries we dealt with in the first 11 games, which were horrific fixtures, but fixture lists are fixture lists. I mean, other teams, you look around the league now, they can't get away from a hard fixture. Like Man City is struggling, Man United. Every game seems hard, and I think it also is. This year's Premier League actually is just very tough. I think everyone's very good. Anyone could beat anyone on any day. So I think it's making it seem a little bit more impossible. But with our injuries early doors to our defenders, the lack of depth, that it was completely our fault at the start of the season, which has reared its head right this second, and could have some knock-on effects. I really believe it just isn't our year. I think in a year that you have to win the league, you have to do what Salah's doing right now, which is, I think he's the only player ever to get to 10 goals and 10 assists in the Premier League before Christmas. I think he's on par to have his best season ever at the age of 31, is it? That stuff needs to go your way. They had a lovely set of fixtures. They've had injuries, to their goalie, to their defence, to Kanate, to Jota, but they've kept their main guys going. But if you watch the way they play, it's just so... The word Joe and I were using last week was not enough urgency in the Arsenal team. They have almost an abundance. The way in which they filled the box yesterday with Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister, they were popping in for goals and assists. They're all holding midfielders, essentially, if you think about it. The way they play is very similar to the Klopp one, which, when you think of Henderson, Wijnaldum, sometimes Milner, you never saw who the actual... You'd look at it and go, well, who's the actual holding midfielder? Who's the attacking midfielder? None of them have that quality of being either. They're just there. They're runners. They're legs. And I think they've got it back again now with Gravenberch, Szoboszlai and McAllister. I couldn't tell you exactly who the number 10 is, and I couldn't tell you exactly who the deepest player is, but they're all working and they all appear in the box, but they're also behind the ball every time they attack. So they've got something going on there. But yeah, to win the league, you need a few things to go your way. Fixtures, results, even the game they had with Everton, they were going into a now very resolute Everton in the wind at 12:30, quick turnaround, Goodison Park, last game at Goodison Park, Merseyside derby, and it got cancelled and they got 7 days off. That could be a good thing and a bad thing, because that game's going to get rescheduled for right in the mix of probably chaos for them. But at the same time, is it going to be that windy? Are Everton going to be in the form they're in at the minute as far as not conceding? That kind of stuff. So that stuff's got to go your way, and they're getting it. And I think with that comes winning championships. And I've said it loads of times. I really thought what they're doing this year is what we did last year, and we still didn't win the league because we had that Man City team. They're doing the year you're supposed to have to win the league, and Man City have actually dropped off. So it's almost a not guarantee. No one's ever dropped an 8-point lead. They've had an 8 to 9 point lead at times. No one's done it before, so I don't think they're going to start, and I don't think that the teams that are coming up for them are resolute enough to, like I said, Arsenal to put 10 games in a row. I think if we put 10 games in a row, I do think we're back in the title race, because before they played yesterday, if Chelsea had won, Chelsea would have been top. And if they then lost to Tottenham, Chelsea would have been top for Christmas. So it's not done and dusted, but I just think multiple things have to go your way the year you win a title. And for us, we have 11 defenders at the club, and there's been periods already in the first 17 games where, for long periods of time, where we've only had 4 available out of the 11. Moreno was a new signing to bolster the midfield. He missed the first 7 games because he broke his arm in the first training session. Saka's missed 3 or 4 games already with hamstring issues. Now he's torn it. He won't be back till probably late March, April. I don't think it's the year in which you kind of sometimes just go, all right, it's not our year, because everything that could help is not even happening. And then the things that are kind of detrimental are happening. So if we could sneak into a second or a third and pick up a trophy or have a run, and again, I think this kind of hinders a lot of things as far as like Champions League. I think without Saka, I think we're really going to struggle to beat those big teams because he is our best player. So it's a bit of an odd one. I think it's about kind of damage limitation to an extent, keeping that form going. Maybe we can, maybe someone will come out of the woodwork. I was thinking today, we all kind of prefer Martinelli off the right anyways. He's more direct. We've lost Saka now, as I just mentioned, to a torn hamstring. They said many weeks. It looks like it's going to be 8 to 10. That's going to be mid-March or, yeah, probably mid-March to late March coming back, which is essentially the last 10 games of the league plus Champions League quarters, semis and finals, if we can get that far. But again, he's going to have to also get back into fitness. There's a lot of things. So we kind of got to find ways around it. And the annoying part is we got Sterling in as his backup. So I'm just going to take a drink. We got Sterling in as his backup to alleviate the issues of Saka kind of getting run into the ground. And we haven't used him anyway. And that's why Saka's been run into the ground. And then on top of that, Sterling's now out for a month or so with a knee injury. So we're going forward. Luckily, Jesus, like I started all this and I was supposed to talk about Palace, has found a little form this week. So him finding form, Havertz getting back on the score sheet. There's a lot of positives that, you know, if maybe Jesus hadn't found this form this week and Havertz hadn't scored again, with Saka and Sterling going down, it would have been, and I think we're all very frustrated with Martinelli and Trossard generally. So our attacking core to win the league this year is going to be Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, Trossard and Martinelli. I don't think that can mount any kind of title run. But I'm interested how we do it. I think Martinelli off the right makes sense because I think if you played Havertz down the middle and Trossard off the left and Martinelli off the right, I think that's as close to as good as it can be without Saka and without disrupting too much because Trossard usually plays there, Havertz usually plays there. But Jesus is in such good form. There is a part, I mean, it does kind of go, well, play Jesus off the left maybe. Because he is in good form and he's very good on the wings as well. He's tricky. And I think he's almost very similar to Saka in the way he kind of comes in field. So even him off the right and Martinelli off the left. Or you play him down the middle and Havertz drops in the midfield, which I don't like. I mean, you saw the difference when he went off for Rice in that midfield. I think Havertz is a really good football player. I think he has a place in the team and I think his place is up front. And he brings the wingers in. And Jesus actually might benefit from Havertz holding the ball up for him, coming off the wing to get more goals. So Jesus and Martinelli either side of Havertz, and I wouldn't mess with the Rice, Partey, Odegaard thing for now. If we can drop Rice into 6 and Moreno can play some games, obviously that's good. Jorginho could come in. When Aries starting to get more minutes. Lewis Skelly's been an absolute, I wouldn't say find because he's been there for a long time, but revelation. Because I mentioned it last week, and him and Nwaneri getting minutes and being good is going to save us so much money because it's going to save us 300, 400,000 off the wage bill when you remove Tierney and Zinchenko or Tierney and Kivior or whoever it is. When Vieira goes, when Ari is the replacement, you don't have to go into the market and buy a £70 million Morgan Gibbs-White, or you don't have to go and buy Hato from Ajax. You can just go, no, Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri are promoted. There are much smaller wages. There's no outgoing fees, which means financial fair play-wise, you can then go spend on a forward. I think this might have to... Arteta said, you know, injuries mean we might have to dip into the market. He didn't expect Saka and Sterling to go down 3 days later. So they kind of forced their own hand, which is a very big worry because Rashford is going to be leaving Man United in January by the looks of it. Do Arsenal take a chance on him now in a loan? I could see it because Sterling's loan is not going to help us for the next 2 months. Saka is out. You know, as much as we will have opinions on Rashford, he is world class when he is world class. The problem is, what Rashford are you getting? If you get a Rashford that is happy, content, willing to run, he is very good. He is, you know, that star player that can really change a game. And we need more of them. So I'm not saying I'm anti the idea of Rashford coming in. I just worry that since Arteta's been in, he's brought in... His forward options have been Marquinhos, who's a youngster who's back on loan in Brazil, who I think is actually back in January, which is ironic because he might get games now. He bought Trossard from Brighton, who I think's turned out. I think that's a good signing. He bought Willian from Chelsea. It didn't work out. He bought Jesus from Man City. You be the judge. Did it work out? He bought Sterling on loan, and he bought Havertz from Chelsea. His track record of forwards is he buys broken toys from other Premier League clubs and tries to make them right. And in Havertz's case, it worked out. In Jesus, yeah, I'd say it worked out. Sterling and Willian didn't work out. What would Rashford be? Would he be the workout one? Would he be Willian or would he be Havertz? I don't know. In a loan deal, Man United don't want him. I mean, I don't know why they would try and help us at the minute. As far as maybe just longevity of him being at the club, they would kind of help him find a solution as good faith for being a loyal servant to the club since he was a child. Maybe that, but I don't get why they would do that. But I honestly, there's a transfer roundabout. I talked about it last week. Isaac is technically available. He's not signing a new deal. They're done in the summer. They have enough money, Newcastle, to eat that lack of profit and just let him go on a free. But financial fair play wise, they don't, because to allow your one of two big assets to go on a free is ludicrous, because they won't be able to buy anyone. So they kind of need to offload him now or get him to sign a new deal. And by the looks of it, he's not signing a new deal. If Arsenal have the ability, I think this is the moment, because I think you buy Isaac, it changes everything, because Isaac and Havertz are then up front. Jesus becomes another winger. Marquinhos comes back off of loan. He becomes another winger. You have Martinelli, Trossard, and the midfield is fine. You know, it's short, but I don't think we were going to buy anyone in January for midfield anyway. It was as short as it was meant to be, and I don't think it was well done by Arsenal, but it was by design. But it isn't good. But we can't really complain about that. We've got Calafiori coming back. Ben White will be back soon. Timber's been unbelievable. Lewis Skelly's been a revelation. Zinchenko, we don't know what's going on with his injury. Tierney is actually back now. Looks like he could go out on loan in January. But I think at the minute, I think we just need as many numbers. Tomiyasu just isn't fit ever. There's been a lot of issues, and the more players we can kind of fill the squad with at this point, just to rest people, is huge. So if Marquinhos is coming back off loan, I think you do bring him in. I do think he sits on the bench. I do think he plays in, maybe on the bench in the Carabao and the FA Cup early rounds. I guess we're against Man United, so it's going to be tough. But I do think that, and I do think if there's a deal that they really like for the summer that can get done in January, I think Arsenal might have to break the bank, because they're in a weird moment where we're not out of the title race, but we're not necessarily in the title race. But Man City aren't there. And to wait, and again, we said this last January, I think if we went and bought Isaac last January, I think we do go and win the league. But we didn't. And they held their ground and said we're going to do it in the summer, and then they didn't do anything in the summer. So they keep kind of putting it off. I think this is the moment, stick or twist. I think it's the time to twist, because the chances of Saka going down in an injury, we got Champions League, we've got so much to play for still. I think Isaac interests me in a way because I think he's not cup tied in any way in the Europe. So he would, I think, I might be thinking out loud, but I think he would be available, but I don't think Rashford would, because he's played in the Europa. I don't know if it crosses over, but I'm fairly sure generally in Europe. But again, he could then, if they are cup tied in Europe, that's fine, because you can allow Martinelli to maybe have a Premier League game off to save him for Champions League, that kind of thing. But we just need numbers. We need numbers in, and I know they don't want to do anything. You don't want to go buy Rashford for 45 million, put him on 300 grand a week, and it doesn't work out, and you're stuck with this player, and then you have to offload, maybe a Trossard or a Martinelli just to kind of get your financial fair play back, just because we were trying to chase a title that was that little bit out of reach. It's a very, it's very poker face, isn't it? Like I don't know. I wouldn't want to do it. I think a loan deal would be great, because could someone come in and prove, Rashford trying to prove himself? Could he come in and win himself a contract with Arsenal in the summer? Would, like a new, because I if someone said to me, where should Rashford go? I'd say he should leave Man United. And I named PSG, I named Newcastle. If Isaac went to Arsenal, him to Newcastle is just written in the stars. But I named all these things, and I was like, I would say it with such confidence that he'd be so good with a new surrounding. And I feel confident about that. But the minute you say that new surrounding is Arsenal, I'm like, oh, I don't know. But I felt so confident when it wasn't Arsenal. So it is interesting what's in our head about Rashford. And I don't know if it comes from any truth, or I don't know what it is. but there's other things we got to look at as well. Is whoever comes in isn't going to play first team. Like, we're not, unless you can go get an Isaac, and then that is the kind of person you change your team for, or a winger like a Nico Williams. Someone like that's not going in January, but a world class winger that can play, is as good as Saka. Playing would be good, but that's just not that doesn't exist. The closest that is Rashford coming on loan, I think. So I don't fully know what to do with that, but the injuries are piled. The defenders are coming back, so timing wise, the only thing they should do really is go and buy an attacker, because we were light at the start of the season, but when you look at it, you should have two left wingers, and we have Martinelli and Trossard. That's good. Jesus and Havertz. That's good. Saka and Sterling. It's a big drop off, and Saka's the best player in the team. To lose both of that side, the only other option is something that I really think could be interesting. Is Arteta talked about Nwaneri. They said, "Do you think he's world class?" Blah blah blah. And he was like, "It's very early. We're building him." Blah blah blah. And he said, "I don't necessarily see him just as an 8. I see him as a 10. I see him as a winger. I see him as a potential number 9 in the future." And the fact he said that means he's not set. With his pace and his hunger and ability to get past players and kind of want to score, cut in and shoot, is he worth playing almost every game at that? It's a sliding doors moment sometimes. Sometimes a huge injury to Saka at the right time. This is how Saka and Martinelli ended up in the position they're in. Is if Arsenal weren't as bad as they were, and then Emery didn't come in, and we didn't have Europa Cup, they wouldn't have got games, and therefore they wouldn't have proved themselves. If we weren't as bad as we were under Arteta when he first joined, he wouldn't have gone with Smith Rowe and Saka, and the likes of Willock and Iwobi all got sold. It's a timing thing, sliding doors, and the fact that he's at 17 and Lewis Kelly 18 have worked their way into this title contending team in Champions League shows that their quality is potentially higher than anyone we've seen before, because they didn't have the ability to be like, "Oh, do you want to play a load of games in the Europa Cup?" and then be like, "Oh, wow, we found someone." They are doing it at the top level. So if you were to say now, to them, like Lewis Kelly, he's trusted him. If he said to Nwaneri, "You're going to play off the right in Saka's absence, make it your position. You're probably going to start every game there." I'd love to see it, because he could end up being one of the best wingers you've ever seen. I don't know. His profile and everything seems like he could be really, really good out wide. So that's one option I would look at, and I still think they do need to bring an attacker in, whether it's a loan or a buy, but they do have to be certain, because we do not want to be lumped with a Rashford signing or something, and we spend the next 3 years trying to get over that situation, and we lose players over it, which we've been in before with Aubameyang and Ozil and all these things. So there's a lot of work to be done, but like I said earlier, Jesus did find form this week. He had an unbelievable game. I think both those games are really enjoyable games to watch. Having your cake and eating it too is a really nice way of putting the fact that we played a rotated team in the quarterfinals and Palace went for it. We won. And then they were tired, clearly, and you could see it. And at their place, and we won. And we won handedly. 5-1 definitely makes it look better than it was. I think Palace had a lot of chances to score. I thought we were good at times. I think we were very average at times. But it did remind me a lot of this year. And I'm so happy for Gabriel Jesus. And from the Instagrams and all that kind of stuff, you could tell he's very liked in the camp. If he could be good, that can change your season, because he is a world-class player. When he first came to Arsenal, him with Ramsdale, Partey, Zinchenko that first year, where it was just pure vibes and we came second and we were top for ages. He was the guy. If he wasn't starting, I'd be like, "Oh, we can't win." Same as Zinchenko. I really felt that strongly at how good they were. And it's only since we've evolved past them, and maybe this football isn't quite as good, but I mean, he can be very good. And if he can find form, like I said, that can really change your season. He isn't a scrub. This guy is a world-class football player that won world championships at Man City. He's the type of signing that 4 or 5 years ago Liverpool would have made. And, look at Firmino, look at Mane from Southampton, and Salah, I think, was from Roma. Smaller signings, players that maybe, De Bruyne at Man City, players that kind of didn't make it elsewhere and they were never deemed good enough but given a chance. He has that quality that maybe he could be world class, elite. So maybe this is that moment, and I'm glad Arteta stuck with him. Luckily, I think he had the opportunity to drop Havertz back into the midfield, so he could kind of have his cake and eat it too as well, where he didn't have to just drop Havertz and be like, I know you didn't play any at all midweek and you're fresh. I'm going to go with the non-fresh guy who's got the hot hand. He had the ability to actually play them both. But even later on in the game, the fact he took Havertz off for Rice and he didn't go, do you know what, Havertz, go up front. Jesus, thank you for that. Rice going to midfield and let's go back to old trusty. He did actually say, no, Jesus is staying on. He's staying on right through to I think he went off for 88 minutes. Shows you he's willing to play that hot hand. So I'm very happy for him. I think we've got a really helpful next game. Ipswich are decent. No, I think they're a good little team as well. And not to be demoralising. I don't know, that sounded patronising. Good little team. But what I mean is they're not as resolute as Everton were at the Emirates. But I think they've got a bit more going forward about them. So because of that, might be a little bit of room. McKenna doesn't necessarily just shut up shop. That's kind of good. That's what we want at the Emirates on a Friday night, is a team coming at us. So that could be beneficial for us. I've also seen us play a Friday night like this last year at West Ham, at home to West Ham, and they sat behind the ball and they scored twice on the counter-attack and they beat us 2-0. And it was around this time last year. And it was one of the weirdest games I ever watched because I thought it was the best we ever played, but we lost 2-0. So, there's definitely danger to them. But it's a good, I don't think you could ask for a better fixture. Maybe Leicester at home, Southampton at home. But we made hard work at them already this year at home. So, but other than that, I think the best fixture is maybe them or Wolves. But Wolves have got a new manager. There's a lot of things, but it's a good fixture. No Saka. He could probably try the thing he wants. I would love to see a front three of, maybe I really like Havertz up front, but I do think Jesus deserves to play every game at the minute. So maybe Jesus down the middle, Martinelli and Wineri either side, something like that. I know he's not going to because he does have Trossard available, but when you're playing, I think we're playing Friday and then Wednesday, which is why we're not going to cover the Brentford game. Brentford away is a horrible place to go. I know they lost this week to Forest, but it's a really hard place to go. So if you can rest certain players like a Trossard or a Martinelli, it might be the time to do it. Because if we can get through Ipswich with Wineri and, let's say, Martinelli and Jesus, Havertz and Trossard could come back in an away from home situation and kind of settle it a little bit. And you go to maybe Jesus out wide with Havertz down the middle and Trossard on the left, Martinelli coming off the bench, Wineri coming off the bench, that type of thing. Moreno could maybe start in the midfield with Rice and Odegaard. I don't know. There's things like that to kind of think, but now these games are coming every 3 days. We can't expect the 4 forwards we have to play every 3 days. We can't expect Odegaard to play every single minute every 3 days. He's already. We saw what happened when he got hurt. Timber is due a rest. So the minute we start getting some players back, we might need to, and I don't mean put Partey back there. Maybe he will put Partey back there with Calafiori back on the left, just to kind of change it up. But we do need to start resting some players because, we lost Odegaard for 2.5 months. We're losing Saka. By the time this is all done, I think over the season, which is 4 months in this year and then 5, so 9 months is the season. By the end, we're going to have missed Saka for over 4.5 months, so over half the season. Odegaard for a quarter of the season. Most of our defenders for a quarter of a season. It's like I said earlier, when that kind of stuff happens, it's probably not your season. Like if Salah missed half of this season, and so did Van Dijk or Trent, like with Odegaard, I do think they would have dropped a couple more points like we have. So I think sometimes you need those things to go your way. It doesn't mean it can't be overcome because, Liverpool played children in the Carabao, sailed through. They won the Carabao with children last year. I think last year they came third and they were only a few points behind us. And talk about what we're doing this year. They had it like this last year. They were playing children in the Premier League and still staying in the title race. They just ran out of steam because they just didn't have enough players. So sometimes you kind of got to accept it, but you also got to kind of galvanise yourself and can we pull through? Can people, take some pressure off us because they think, Saka's out, Odegaard missed, defenders are not there, maybe this isn't their year. Maybe that pressure comes off and you start winning and you put 6 or 7 in a row, and teams start to panic. So there's a long way to go. It's not even halfway through the season, but it does feel tough. We talked a little bit of transfers there. We talked a little bit of the week we just had, which was a very good week, which is not what we were dealing with this time last year. I remember around this time, bad results. New Year's Day against Fulham, bad result. We got Brentford on New Year's Day this year away from home. Screams a bad result. But then we went on to that form and kind of rounded up this year as I think this year might be the best year I've ever seen in my lifetime, minus the Invincibles. I mean, the first year of us title challenging with Arteta was amazing. We were good all year, and then we just kind of flagged by the end, and we just started to drop points. We lost that massive lead. That was one of the best teams I'd watched us. Like, it was so enjoyable to watch. But the reason we could play that way was because teams just didn't respect us or think we were any good, so they kind of played out against us, and we capitalised. The following year, last year, we do look at with rose-tinted glasses, and the reason we do that is the first half of the season was awful. It was only this year, 2024, that was unbelievable, right through to the end, and we just missed out by a point or whatever it was. And this season already has started kind of, people aren't sure. Is it jolty? Is it not making sense? This is better than it was this time last year. And we look at last year as an unbelievable year that we should have won the league. So that's the positive. And the reason for that is this year we went to Dubai at the start of the year after losing on New Year's Day to Fulham. And we came back and we strung together some of the best performances I've ever seen. I think we were 5 or 6-0 every week away from home. We just won. I don't know what it was, but I think we might have lost one, drawn one, and won like 11 in the space of like 2 months, or 2.5 months. And it really put us back in the title race. Like, we weren't in that title. Like, in January 1st, I remember people saying we'll be lucky to get top 4, which is ironic because when you look back at that season, people were like, you should have won the league. And it's mad because no one had us in the title race until March. So it shows you how far there is to go. We could run, could we put, Leicester did it. Put 10 wins in a row, put pressure on Liverpool. They falter maybe. They don't look like they're going to, but they could. They could get a big injury as well. And anything could happen. But this season, this 2024, I always remember that stint of mid-Jan to mid-March might be the best football I've ever seen us play. And every 3 days, I just felt comfortable. When I would sit down and watch, I never felt like worried we were going to lose. It was kind of like, we should win. But then we weren't just winning, we were winning 4-5-0 by half time. And then you could just enjoy the second halves. It was the most like low stakes feeling. And it was great. and I think even the start of this season has been interesting. It's just been a weird one with the amount of injuries in that fixture list. It really, I do think some of the stats look wrong. So people are saying, oh, your XGs are really low. It's like, because we played 17 games, 3 of them we played with 10 men from half time. Again, we'll never talk about things not going your way. Those 3 red cards we got this year, no one will ever, we won't see one of them again. So that forward loads, that dropped us a load of points. The XG looks down. Some people's numbers, like, people are saying, oh, Martinelli's washed. He's only got like 3 assists and a couple goals or something. The thing is, we've been playing all the hard games away from home. In the Champions League, it was all the hard away games. We were playing every 3 days. There was mass injuries. The numbers look wrong. Chance creation looks bad. Conceded looks bad. Everyone's like, oh, that's not the defence they had last year. I think it's a situation of it's happenstance. It's the fact of all those metrics. And I think if maybe in Feb it all still looks like that, it was, either we lost momentum because of that or it was wrong from the start. But at the minute it's hard to see it because we're not kind of in clear water and we need 3 or 4 games. And I mean, the first few, Fulham and Everton, we should have comfortably won those and we drew, which isn't a good start. But then we win 5-1 away from home at Palace, which is not an easy place to go do that. So when you look at those things, we won a couple in there. The ones that we won by 3 or 4 goals. So it's kind of like starting to clear and we're starting to see the real kind of metrics appear. I always say I don't really take anything that seriously as far as the league table until 19 games, halfway, even 20 games. And we're 3 off. And if we talked about this run of 7 games and it ended with, I think it was Brentford on New Year's Day. We said we could not afford to lose any, or lose 1 and draw 1. I think we ended up losing 1 and drawing 2, but we've won the others. So if we can win the next 2, it's very close. But I really thought that if we didn't get maximum points, or at least just one loss or one draw, I thought we'd struggle. But the fact Liverpool drew a couple of times definitely kept us in it. But I don't think we'd be having this conversation if Liverpool just kind of won those games. But when you watch them, they do look susceptible. Tottenham got in a lot. And that's where I want to talk about Big Ange, because he was laughing and enjoying himself the Carabao Cup when he was talking about that win. I think it was 4-3 with Man United. And he was saying that, like, are you not entertained? And he was doing all the bits, he says. And I mean, the pundits love him. Everyone loves him. What a great way of playing football. Blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I've been here before because as an Arsenal fan, under Wenger, this was essentially the same shtick. It was unbelievable football. We were defensively awful. Majority of the time. This is post-Invincibles. And every year we'd come top 4. Every year. Pretty much every single year for 20 years. And the word on it was, you can't just be entertaining. No one cares about entertaining. They want to see wins. And as well as coming 4th. I mean, this guy's coming 7th and 8th and these kind of numbers, and playing way more erratic and not adapting at all. And they can't get enough of it. And it shows you, obviously, the size of the club. I mean, with Arsenal, they were expecting us, you should be winning leagues, because we have. With them, they're just going, well, they're just entertaining. But the best part is the fans are with it, and they love it, and they're celebrating, and they're like, this is the best. And they're sat in 11th. They're awful. They're so poor. And they've got injuries to their goalie and their 2 centre-backs. He has to adapt to that and go, do you know what, let's be hard to break down. Let's try and nick a goal. They've got unbelievable players in Son and Kulevski that on a break, even Brendan Johnson, on a counter-attack, they could really do a number on. If he decided this year he's going to sit back, defend, and then counter, they would get top 4. He's just going, he's doing the whole are you not entertained thing, and then when they lose, he stares at his feet and he does, and I'm going to do this every single week. But he said, that's just who we are, mate. You know, we don't change, mate. These aren't real things to worry about in real life, you know, mate. And he does the whole sad puppy thing, stares at his feet. It's who we are. You know, there's bigger things in the world to worry about than the way I would play football. I don't know. And then when they win, he's laughing, smiling. You're not entertained, and he's joking. And it's just so mad. But long may it continue. I mean, I want the pundits to keep talking about how great they were. They lost 4-1 to 9 men. With 9 men against Chelsea. People said it was amazing how he didn't change. Then this game particularly, they lost 6-3 and everyone's still talking about how good they were. There was elements of, like, the pundits going, why do they keep saying they're not entertained? Like, they just lost 6-3. That's really... They shipped 6 goals at home against anyone. I mean, I don't even know if we did that in that period. We used to ship 5 or 6 when we were away from home at, like, Liverpool and City. But at home we wouldn't. We put up a bit of a fight. But the crowd are cheering and they're excited and they didn't leave and they didn't boo. And I just want it to continue, really, like, because it's madness that they think this is good. I get that they've watched Conte and Jose Mourinho do sit back, park the bus football and get nowhere with it. So they're just like, well, I'd rather, if we're not going to go anywhere, I'd rather watch some fun football. I get that. But it's only going to get worse. And again, they could easily pick up the Carabao Cup because I think Liverpool will not change from playing kids. So I do think Tottenham beat them over 2 legs. I don't know what we do with Newcastle because they are going to 100% try and win that because they need that trophy. Newcastle need a trophy. So they're going to play top team. They're going to play their top team. There is a chance it's a Newcastle-Tottenham final, and I don't know who wins that. I don't know if I could deal with an Arsenal-Tottenham final because it would hurt. But he's guaranteed a trophy, and I mean, he might back it up. So, I mean, if they come 9th and they win the Carabao Cup, and they go, are you not entertained? And they're happy with that. I'm very happy that they're happy with that. Because Ten Hag delivered FA Cups and top 5. And Man United fans are like, it's still not good enough. Tottenham fans might be happy with the Carabao Cup final and come in 11th. And if that's where their level is, long may it continue. Because I think it's awful. Chelsea struggled with a very resolute Everton. They've kind of turned a corner. I think he's definitely said, we're not going to score, but no one's going to score against us. That's 2 0-0s in a row against us and Chelsea. That's good results for them. Bad results for both of us. Like I said, Chelsea could have gone top. But we'll move on to Prediction League because I'm on my own and we're already 40 minutes in. I can tell you last week, here we go. Joe got 4, I got 3, Simon got 3. That puts the score at Simon at 75, Joe at 72, and me at 72. So it's within 3 points now. The gap is closed, and we're about to do a 19-game Premier League prediction. I'm not going to buzz through it crazy, but it's going to be relatively quick. Maybe a minute on each game, because that will take us to the hour. We're starting with Man City versus Everton, and Joe and Simon are both gone for a draw. I'm actually going to go with the Man City win. I think the idea that Everton could get 3 draws in a row out of Chelsea, by the way, talk about fixture list, Chelsea, Arsenal and City in a row, seems tough, but they really hampered our style of football at the Emirates, and we're playing a lot better football than City. It's just whether something goes in. I know that sounds ridiculous, but sometimes when teams set out to defend like that, if you can get the half time without a goal, the pressure, and every time you finish an attack, you know it's going to take a while to restart. That changes games. Whereas if you score in the first 10 minutes because not someone switches off, but just the ball ricochets between 2 people and Bernardo Silva just slides it in, the whole game opens up, and the probability of them getting away with it 3 times is so unlikely. So I'm going to go this as City's win, and they're going to creep that a little bit closer to the top of the league again. The next, because by the way, the game with Villa, I mean, that was a sure Villa win as you'll ever see. Villa cannot win after Champions League, but when you give them no Champions League, they will do a number on teams like that. And Morgan Rogers, if you want to talk about a left 8 with legs, if you had him, Rice and Odegaard in our midfield, I do think we challenge Liverpool within a point, by the end. But he's not going for a lot, for a long time, or for not a lot of money. Watkins is an interesting one because they are deciding to go with Duran by the looks of it. Next one's Newcastle, who looked unbelievable this week in Ipswich 4-0. Isaac with a hat-trick. Simon's gone Newcastle, Joe's gone draw. Newcastle home to Villa. This is on Boxing Day. Just to be different, I'm going to go Villa away from home. Just so we're all different. But I really don't know that. That's a really tough game. Newcastle are in form, but not. And so are Villa. They'll win 2, lose 1. And they're both kind of in a moment where they've won 2. So it's what's next? Who's the one that doesn't? Who breaks it? So it's probably a draw. So Joe's probably got that. The next one is Forest and Spurs. Joe and Simon got Forest. I'm going Forest. The way in which Spurs play, they will not like the fact that Forest will sit back, soak it up, and then counter on them. They cannot defend. Chris Wood, Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, Morgan Gibbs-White. These players are having a field day in a minute. They're top 4 at the minute. They're a really good team. And at home, they're very, very good. And Spurs are a team very similar to Arsenal a long time ago, but way worse. Can be rolled over. Do have a soft underbelly. And if it's raining and they kind of get a goal early, that team can capitulate, and there can be boos, and there can be Ange, grabbing his face and all that. So that's what I'm going with. The next one's Bournemouth Palace. Joe and Simon have gone Bournemouth. I'm going to go Bournemouth as well. Unbelievable football team, Bournemouth. Beat Man City, Arsenal. Drew with Villa, I believe. They beat Man United, obviously, away from home at Old Trafford. The XG shows that I think they've won there 3-0 2 years in a row. But the XG would be that Man United won 6-2. And the actual result was 6-0 to Bournemouth. But Bournemouth, if you keep doing that and keep winning, that's not luck. I think they're a very good team. And talk about being entertained. Bournemouth are entertaining and they win. That's what Spurs fans should be aiming for. And the fact that Spurs should be aiming for what Bournemouth are doing shows you where Spurs are. Palace, I thought, were okay against us. They do look disjointed. They're very close to that relegation zone. Couple losses there, and I think that manager does get sacked. I don't think he should. But it does feel like something's up. And I'm all for Palace getting relegated because I want all their players. Some of their players. The next one is Chelsea-Fulham, which is a really interesting one. Fulham in good form, obviously. I think they weren't that good against us. I think they just got away with it. I think they were pretty average against Southampton. Maybe the most blunted I've seen them. But they've won in between that. Chelsea are very good at home. They've just got so many attackers and they just keep rotating how many players. You can almost change that whole team, half a team, and the second half coming on are just as good as the first. And they do kind of feel like the new City, unless they get some kind of transfer ban, which they probably should. They could be a problem for a couple of years here because they've got long deals. There's a lot of them. They're good players, and they've finally got a very good manager. Chelsea at home, I'm going to go with the win for them. Joe and Simon are both gone draw. Next one's Saints West Ham. Joe's gone West Ham. Simon's gone draw. I'm going to go Saints. New manager. He's 49. He looks like Robin De Niro, and my word, does he not look 49? They're a decent side. He took Dibbling off at half-time this week, which is odd, but they do look more resolute. And with Ramsdale in the goal, it's an interesting one because I think they've played very well. They lost by a goal at City, lost by a goal at the Emirates. They deserve to beat Liverpool at home and lost 3-2. If Ramsdale plays in that Liverpool one, I think they win. And I think some of the games since, Ramsdale is susceptible to a mistake, but a lot of their goals are them literally giving the ball to the other team. So I don't think Ramsdale quite does that. So I do think they stay in games longer. So I'm going to go with a win there. And West Ham are very bizarre. The next one's Wolves Man United. Simon's gone Wolves. Joe's gone Man United. I'm going to go draw. Not just to be different, but Wolves, new managers coming in. They looked a lot better this week, obviously, with their win. I've said from the start, I think Wolves were a very good team. I thought Gary O'Neill's a very good manager. I think maybe sometimes Arsenal had this with Emery. He's clearly good, but we just needed a new person. And I think they're there, and I think they're going to have a couple moments here. There could be a win here, but I'm going to go draw. Next one's Liverpool, Leicester. Joe and Simon said Liverpool. I'm going to go Liverpool. Leicester are very poor, potentially even worse with Van Nistelrooy. That is not a game they're going to win or draw. So that's Liverpool. I think this week Liverpool have that and West Ham away. It can be awkward. Liverpool got very similar to us. They're home to a relegation team, and then away to a tricky London away fixture. So in that sense, we both could drop 3 points and also win 3 points. Again, every week it seems like this on these double game weeks. If someone does draw and win, and the other one wins and wins, it does either we're out of the title race or we're back in the title race. So so much can change because of how many fixtures there are. Brighton Brentford is the most. I'm solidly in the Premier League playing good football, but we don't know what form is. And they're bees. They're just, I'm going to go Brighton. They haven't won in like 7. Could this be the day? Joe and Simon have gone draw, which is probably a fair result. Arsenal Ipswich. Joe and Simon have gone Arsenal. We always go Arsenal no matter how much we think we're going to lose. Not much to say about that other than the rotation, what we're going to do without Saka. It might be a nice buffer game to kind of figure something out. If we get to half-time and it's 0-0, there could be trouble. There could be actual trouble. People start panicking. And it could get weird. I do love the idea of Nwaneri getting given a position and being like, go make it yours. I do like that. And I think he does make stuff happen. He's just that kind of player. And I think also on the wing, he can learn a lot as far as, doubling up, trying to protect the defender. Saka came through as a left back, and he's now one of the best right wingers in the world. He'll benefit from that position. Also, there's less stakes than in the middle. So he can kind of attack, but he has to track, and he's young enough to track. I don't know. I think it just makes sense. The next one's Leicester Man City. Leicester have a horrible week of fixtures. Joe and Simon go Man City. I'm going to go draw. City are really bad. Leicester, the only chances at home. Is Vardy up for it post-Christmas? We'll see. Everton versus Forest. Simon's gone draw. Joe's gone Forest. I'm going to go Everton. Just to change it up. We'll get into the second fixtures of teams here, so I'm not going to go over too long. Palace Saints. Joe and Simon gone Palace. They were very dangerous against us, so I'm going to join them with Palace. Spurs Wolves. Simon and Joe have gone Spurs. That's got a 2-1 Wolves win to me. I'm going Wolves. Fulham Bournemouth. Joe and Simon have gone draw. That is a real tough one. They're the new Brighton and Brentford of this year for some reason. It feels that way. Fulham at home are very good. They've got a few injuries in a minute, Fulham. I'm going to join them with the draw. I think all of us will draw. West Ham versus Liverpool. Joe's gone draw. Simon's gone Liverpool. I'm going to go West Ham. West Ham do have a fright for teams, but the way in which they opened up against us worries me with how we're not half as aggressive as Liverpool. So that could be a 5-6 from Liverpool. I'm just going to go West Ham. Ipswich are home to Chelsea. Joe and Simon have gone Chelsea. I'm going to go draw. I think at home Ipswich can get a little bit of a crowd going and cause a draw. Villa at home to Brighton. It's a short turnaround, so I'm going to go draw because I think Villa struggle with the short turnarounds. Joe and Simon have gone Villa. Last one I'm one game short, and I'll explain why in a second. I think I did it earlier, but Man United at home to Newcastle. Joe and Simon have gone Newcastle. I'm going to go Man United. The one game missing there is Arsenal-Brentford, or Brentford-Arsenal. It's on the Wednesday. I intend to do this podcast on the Tuesday, albeit those fixtures are on. I might try and do it on the Wednesday on the New Year's Day, because I think that fixture is in the evening. So I'm going to attempt to do a New Year's Day pod. I don't know where Joe is for New Year's Eve, so it might be one of these, but we'll have all those fixtures to figure out. And like every week I say this, we could be back in the Tauros. We could be well and truly out of this Tauros. But we don't truly know, and that's the fun of it, isn't it? And that's the Christmas period is the kind of craziness. But like I said, this time last year, Liverpool were neck and neck with City. Arsenal were well out of the title race, and someone was third. I think it might have been Spurs. Someone was third like this time last year, and I can't remember who ended up nowhere near it. Liverpool dropped off, and we nearly won the league on the last day. So much can change. It's a really interesting league. I think it's one of the better leagues we've had in a while, mainly because City are not in it. And everyone seems beatable. There's no clear... And like sometimes you just look at the fixtures and you go, oh, that's 6 wins in a row for City. Or 6 wins in a row for Liverpool. I feel like at the minute it's like... I don't think anyone can win 6 in a row. I think whoever does is going to win the league. And no one's really done it. I know Liverpool started that way and that's why they've got this lead. But... someone needs to do it between now and about March, and I think that will either solidify their title or Chelsea or Arsenal might get back in it. So we'll see. Ipswich first, Brentford, but we'll be talking about that. I'll be back on it before we talk about that. Enjoy your Christmas from Gunners R Us. We're on TikTok every single Wednesday except for on Christmas Day at 10 a.m. GMT. Join us there. We put videos up every single day, usually football news, things like that. Trying to get to that 10K, and then we're going to start doing some visual. We used to do the visual videos where we were kind of talking, but at the minute we're doing the news videos. Might do some green screens, but we've got to get to 10,000 first. So if you haven't followed already, do that. If you listen to iTunes and Spotify, please give us a 5-star review. Helps our algorithms, gets us out there more. I think for next year, I think we're going to try and get some more guests on. I want to try and get James from Gunner Blog on here. Elton Prince will be back. Obviously, he's been on here the last couple of years. Bruno will be back. Obviously, Joe. We'll get Simon back on here more regularly as well. Maybe some out-of-the-box guests as well would be fun. But have a good Christmas, have a good New Year, and we'll see you on New Year's Day with the next episode of the Gunners R Us podcast. Bye-bye.